last year was a year where we witnessed a significant increase in the risk profiles of most key sourcing markets. So typically on an annual basis, we evaluate 80 of the world's key sourcing geographies across the 5 dimensions of labor, health and safety, environment, business ethics, and management systems, and around 60 different individual topic areas like forced labor, wages, working hours, child labor, different aspects of environment like scope 3, carbon, energy, chemical, water, etc. Overall, what we've seen is that 49 of those top 80 key sourcing markets saw an increase in their risk profiles. And this is mainly due to a decline in the health and safety and labor standards pillars. Most materially also, though, it wasn't just a decline overall, but it was a reversal of the improvements that we'd seen in the immediately preceding 3 to 5 year period. So COVID, as well as these other big shifts and factors relating to technology and regulation, came together to drive really a regression in on-the-ground performance at factories with respect to sustainability. I would particularly call out countries like China, Bangladesh, and Vietnam, Turkey, which are some of the biggest sourcing markets. And for financial institutions, companies, and other actors on the phone, now's the opportunity to really dig deep and focus on quality to kind of reverse that trend that we have seen. Now, this trend was very interesting to observe, and I think the panel have outlined a number of the key drivers, for example, around order terminations and liquidity, because what this manifested as for supply chains, for factories, were things like, for example, increased working hours for workers. And some of that came because there was a demand to produce more in a shorter time period. What came also was sometimes underpayment of wages, and some of that came because there was decreased liquidity and challenges in terms of cash flow at the factory level. What we also saw was migrant workers being disproportionately impacted. Many of those workers who traveled to some of these key sourcing markets no longer had the ability to travel home quite so freely, or to move around those countries, or to look for jobs in other parts of the country. So often got trapped in much less favorable conditions. But underlying all of this, and another really important metric, is that we saw a lot more challenges around falsification or a lack of transparency at the factory level. So what I mean by that in particular is a factory's willingness to share real wage and working hour data when you're on site doing an audit and visiting that facility, doing an inspection. Typically pre-pandemic, we were looking at transparency rates of around 70% for Asia. Today, even 20 months into the pandemic process, we're now at a transparency rate of around 50%. So there's a massive decline in openness and willingness to share the real wage and working hour data.